What are my people, and welcome to another In the Sports Overtime. Today I got a very special guest, my main man, number one. Number two, an educator and leader of young men. Number three, a true champion. And to be exact, six MD 4A state championships in 17 years at his previous school. We're going to get to that in a minute. My main man, Coach DaLawn Parrish. DP, thank you for joining me, bro.
Hey, thank you for having me. You know, it's always a pleasure getting to talk to my man.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man. Well, look, bro. I mean, this is a conversation that's been a couple of months in the making here. I've been really wanting to sit down with you because we had a couple of pieces of information. First of all, it was when you decided to walk away from the Wise Pumas, and then after that, a couple of months later, you come back and you're moving on to your next journey, your next step of the process. I want to start though, Coach, back to conversation that you and I had back around right when we were coming back from the pandemic, because it was your school was one of the first ones that I visited then. Number one, because I respect you. Number two, you always put greatness on the field. And I always remembered that in that conversation, you talked about the fact that you had considered walking away during the pandemic. What was it back then that you were feeling that maybe some of that you were still feeling when you finally decided to walk away?
Well, my personal feelings on the matter, I didn't believe Prince George's County at the time was doing enough to get the young people back out there to play sports. I felt like the other counties was doing so many different things just to give student athletes outlets, and our county was trapped. And the way we kept coming back, we was limited access to coaches that's for the most part volunteering their time. Um, it was the craziest thing watching other schools um, practice and jump the fence and compete at our school and some of the schools in the counties, but our athletes not being allowed to do anything. That was very frustrating. And then you had to put yourself second. You have to put yourself to the side and try to do what's best for the student athletes and their parents that dedicated themselves to the schools and programs, trying to place them in different places, and so you kind of like tore down your team. And when we finally got back, it still wasn't the same. So many
Sure.
rules was imposed on us that the other counties didn't. Even when I think about when the track team was allowed to run, our county only allowed 10 at a time.
Mm.
So they had a state championship, and our teams was only competing with like 10 or 20 people.
Wow.
Other counties out there with all of their athletes, 50, 60. And then we couldn't even have contact with them outside. So it was very difficult, and I don't think they understood how it changed the fabric of what people built or coaches. And as you can see, when we came back, we lost coaches, teachers,
Yeah.
athletes, and the whole culture was different.
I kind of want to talk about the community aspect of that, right? And this wasn't something that I necessarily had planned to go into, but there's no better man and stalwart of the community to talk about this with than you. When I look at the decisions of Prince George's County, the decisions of Washington D.C. during COVID, to not allow student athletes with their football athletic families, I think that has a ton to do with what it is that we're seeing in the streets and in the communities here today, because so many of those kids weren't allowed around their support systems. Do you feel the same about that, or am I off base?
No, I think you are absolutely correct, and a lot of things happened because of that. And even like you said, we came back. Young people was just affected so much from not being in school and not even having guidance. Right, it was home by themselves, and we weren't allowed really to talk to them or to have contact. So it was extremely frustrating. You also got to see how much time. You never really think about how much time you put in.
Sure, right.
You don't. We can talk about all we want, but when you get to see how much time away you are from your family, and then you're there, and you see what you're missing the day to day. And shout out to all the significant others, men and women, goodness, support everything, coaches, teachers, community members do to even be there to allow yourself to do so much, right? And limit that. My wife did a tremendous job of it. I never knew really what I missed.
Mm,
And then to have somebody tell you that you couldn't even do it or interact,
sure.
right? You like what you started questioning
Mm,
why you do some things. We already know for me it wasn't never about championships. It's
well,
about being around them, right?
sure.
And being a positive influence. The same as my coaches were for me. Um, being that type of leader. So it's so difficult.
When you look at that point there, right? Because again, obviously everybody, the summertime is going to come around, and that pigskin is going to have to drop out there at Dr. Henry H. Wise High School. Like Tom is going to have to move forward. But it's going to be very different moving forward without you. I mean, you quite literally have been the architect of that football, of that community, of that culture out there. So, what does that school? What does that mean to you?
First off, I was blessed the opportunity to even take over that program. That gentleman named a Tuskegee Airman doctor. So that was quite an honor and a great responsibility that I'll never forget. Um, I'm always going to look over my shoulder, right? It's still called DaLawn Parrish Field. So I'm always looking on my shoulder to see what those guys are going long past, however more seasons I, continue to coach. So that's going to be difficult. That's going to be difficult, but I pride myself that they have good people that's still there, right? A lot of my coaches are still there. Steve Rapp, like a brother to me, he's there and he's given himself, to be committed to those young men that's still there. But yeah, it's going to be difficult, right? But I also have an awesome responsibility to these young men in the community where I live at Westlake High School. So I'm rejuvenated with that excitement, right? And my emotions are looking forward to that, just to be in the school with my daughters, and just seeing how that go, right? I'm sure they're probably apprehensive about what it's like with dad, right? So that's going to be challenging, right? But I love it. They're going to
I,
get to see real educator. They just see Coach P,
sure.
Daddy. They see what other people say, but now you get to see um, Mr. Parrish also.
In the flesh.
There you go.
In the flesh. In the flesh. You mentioned that field being named after you, right? And again, like with all it is that you've accomplished, it's not at all surprising. But I don't know that I've ever seen someone. Me and you, we like the same age, coach, and ain't nobody fitting to name no field after me at all. So for you to have accomplished something like that at such an early age, I can't imagine what it must feel and mean to you and your family. But take me back the day that you found out that that field was going to be named after you. What was that feeling like?
Well, the day I found out
Yeah,
that it
man.
was even talked about, I was like, really? You don't think about something like that, right?
Right.
Um, Steve put that in my head, like, it'd be awesome. They should name the field after him. Like, what? Then my AD started talking about it, and I'm like, okay, whatever, right?
Right.
It actually happened, and I'm like, it went through. I'm like, you don't even know how that could feel like, right? People
Yeah.
normally get an honor like that after you pass away.
That's what I'm saying.
And all I can think about when Coach K got the court, and he was actually get to play and defend his court,
Yeah.
right? I
Yeah.
guess it took on a whole new meaning on defend home field or what have you. So, I was elated, excited, overjoyed, but also a little afraid. a
Wow.
little afraid. I have a lot of I put pressure on myself.
Sure.
They say pressure bust pipes or create diamonds. That's a whole nother pressure to play on a field with your name on it. I don't think people quite understand that, right? And you already talk about the Pumas and home field and defending your turf and different things like that, but now it takes on a whole meaning of a different house, right?
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
you know you're going to get everybody's best now, right? If you wasn't before. The first team to beat us and different things on that field. So um, humbling. But like I said, I was apprehensive about it. Like I'm still alive.
Yeah.
I'm probably gonna play
Right.
many more games on this field. So
How'd you deal with that pressure? Because again, I mean, the Pumas had a target on you all's back every Friday night because you were who you were, but now also that personal pressure because now you're this guy who's immortalized with the name on the field.
I didn't. I wouldn't never talk about it with the young men because they, you know, if they see me acting nervous or apprehensive or feel a certain way, they can feel that, right? They know how your mood is about things. So I always hid my
Wow.
actual um, sensitivity, if you could say that, my true feelings about the matter, and just had them go out there and play. And I think they did an outstanding job because I think we only lost twice there since
Yeah,
then.
man.
So, you know,
Yeah, man.
obviously in 1 year, but
Right, right, right.
same team. So shout out to Coach Powell and the Jaguars for getting it done too. Because I also say this, I hope everything we did made Prince George's County football better.
Wow.
And by having that target on your back, I think it makes it better because you're going to get everybody else best opportunity. And in the more colleges, universities, us playing Friday night, that they can come and see the young men play on a fast surface, I think that helped and it benefited everybody.
I agree with that. I totally agree. I think that Prince George's County football is in a solid place right now, and that's something that you all helped to lay that foundation for. In regards to again that decision to walk away from Wise, and when you did, I know that a lot of people out here in the media felt like you were retiring, like you were getting away from football as total, not just walking away from Wise. But how long was that? Had you been considering that move?
I had been considering that as soon as we came after COVID.
Mm.
I thought about um, changing a different direction. I just didn't feel comfortable. I didn't see where it was at, but I felt like I owed the young men still that stayed after COVID. Um, you know, because it's quite. I think every coach in the state could tell you it was so many, especially in public schools. It was so many different coaches, kids, right, that couldn't play. That for us, we had about 10 sophomores that went to the state championship, and they
Wow.
decided, you know, I think 8 of them decided to stay, even though
Wow.
they didn't have a season as a junior. You know,
Yeah.
Jaleel Farouk didn't even play his senior year. You know, so um, that was difficult. But I'm happy that I was able to come back and we went to another state title game the year after that. It's the same year we came back from COVID. So um, when you get to see how much time you miss from home,
Yeah.
and I survived it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
You survived because I used to tell myself, I wonder could I survive without football,
Right.
right? And I
Yeah.
pride myself on. We say me and Coach Rap, we always talk about we have no vices, right?
Yeah. 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 Yeah, bro. I get it. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
guess you lying to yourself. Football was a vice,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I survived it. So um, I knew then I could survive change if I had to. If the right opportunity came up, that I would have to look into that, invest into it.
So now that you've made this move, we're a couple of months removed, or a few months now removed from you deciding to step away from Wise. I think that regret is probably too strong of a word, but do you have any feelings of remorse? So what will you look back upon knowing that you're no longer there with Puma Nation?
First, I believe this upcoming season, I have no doubt in my mind that they could get it done with the young men that's coming back. The regret probably would be I know how many more wins that I personally could accumulate at Wise.
Yeah, man.
But it was never about the wins and losses. And if you truly mean that, right, then you have to move on. I'm not so sure functionally the way it is in the county that I'd be happy,
Wow. Wow.
right? And those wins wouldn't give me the happiness of some of the things I just don't agree with.
It's a balancing act. It's a balancing act, and kind of as a segue to that, you've mentioned your wife, you've mentioned your family a couple of times. In our personal conversations, you talk about your people all the time. What does your family mean to you?
Everything, everything. Um, some some of me and my good friends we talk about, and I know you should say for me a man of faith, God, family, football, but we live our life is football, family, God.
Yeah.
So I'm trying my best to put that back in order.
Wow.
That what I know, the way you're supposed to live, matches how I live. What I say matches in that perspective. Um, I'm not sure that I'm ever going to be as strict as I would love to be, but I'm going to try. And now I think, you know, part of recognizing whether you're alcoholic or not is recognizing it.
Right.
Right? I recognize it. Hey, that that order was wrong. I lived that. I know the order, but I lived it wrong.
And so to that point, Westlake is closer to where you actually live, because you had told me previously, that drive from your home all the way out to Wise, to and fro, and then when you know what I'm saying, when you got weekend games to play out there in PG as well, but so now you're closer to your family.
Closer, you have no idea.
So is
Let's
that
just say
why that's why Westlake?
Westlake is walking distance. My children are considered walkers.
Wow.
So you might see old Coach Parrish walk the paths one day, see if I can catch somebody doing something wrong. Ride my bike to work.
So ultimately, that's why you chose Westlake.
Absolutely. Um, you give so much to everybody else community, and for my young players or my older players, they could tell you. I lived in the Upper Marlboro. I lived in Clinton, which was our zone also. Before the kids, you try to avoid my yard because I get them to do some social, get you some work, you get some community service hours, cut coach yard.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man.
So, but I give to the community, right? I think if you look up Charles County, I think it's like 74% of the teaching population lives in Charles County. I don't think you find that quite often,
Sure.
right? So why not give back to your community?
I love it.
I'm gonna give my community everything I have.
And
If you want to brush change, you got to do it at home.
you got to do it at home. This Westlake squad, bro. I mean, obviously, you look at last year, 6-6 last season. But when I first was started covering high school sports 9 years ago or so, I mean, this was a playoff team.
Absolutely,
What can you all be?
we will be a playoff team. There's no doubt about that. The way even the way the state is with the playoffs. The question is, will we advance far?
Hmm.
Right. I think the conference is deep enough to give us the experience that we need to know what type of team we are by mid-season. You don't
Well,
have to wait to the playoffs. Sometimes they're wise. You know, in the beginning, it was woo, it was woo, heavy,
yeah, yeah,
heavy loaded. And lately, it became light that you really didn't know who you were until us and Flowers got a hold of each other, so to speak. And sometimes Roosevelt, um, you know, but that was lately, or currently, excuse me.
sure.
I think in the SMAC, because of the relative parity of the league, you have different styles of play. Um, that you can get it done. You still have people staying home and playing. I think that's always a challenge. Just trying to get the kids from the community to stay in the community, um, and compete. But like yourself, you said when you started covering, Westlake was a power, but I also know North Point was young, right?
That's right.
And I think they experienced the same situation that most of Prince George's County experience when you're dealing with a tech magnet school, in walking distance from you. So,
Right. Yeah.
you know, you just gotta be positive, keep grinding, man. That's what we're gonna do.
Nah, I got no doubt about that at all. Do you have time for a couple more, or do you got to skedaddle? It's 4 o'clock.
Oh my God, no, I'm supposed to be somewhere else, but I can answer a couple more questions. Don't worry about it.
You had a couple more. Okay. All right. So just to come back to this past season, of course, you all win that state championship. You're 6-1. It's a huge deal there. What I gotta ask you though is, when you look at this championship season, did it matter to you at all that in that championship run that you didn't have to play Flowers or Quince Orchard? The competitor in you, did that matter to you at all?
Good question. First, I played them,
Yeah.
played them, and I beat them.
That's
Right? Hey, part of getting number one seed is so you can avoid that.
right.
Right? Try to
Right.
avoid it and send them on the other side of the bracket.
Yeah, man.
You play a tight game, and I think people that wasn't familiar, they would have been on the other side of the bracket. They wouldn't have been
Hmm.
on our bracket. So if we would have faced them, we'd had to face them in the state championship game. That would have been cool, right? But it wasn't meant to be. You get
Sure.
you beat the teams that's laid in front of you, right? And so be it. That's how we go. I never. I'm be honest. I never really. I gotta play this team or play that team. I know that's probably hard hearing it to say, but I never said that. You play who you play in front of you, and go get it, right? And we've had challenges in front of us in the beginning, in the past. It turned out this one was less challenging, all right. But hey, I'm sure the other teams would tell you, "Whoa, whoa, whoa! You discrediting who we are,
Sure. Sure.
our accomplishments." So, um, it would have been tougher because us Flowers and Quincy's are very familiar with each other.
Hmm.
Those contests are so physical that I will argue it would be hard pressed for any team to have to play all three of us and win it. Let alone one of us have to play one of us in the semifinals and go play in the state finals. That would be very challenging. Now you have to deal with, I think, the challenge that the WCAC has to face,
That's right.
right, for their championship, that they played each other once, right, in the regular season. They got to go back again and play each other in the playoffs
It's
and
tough.
fight that first war again, right, and then go in. So, only thing I can tell you is my staff that I had at Wise, we was kind of familiar with that, right, because we've played in all three or four of the last, in these 20, 17, 18 years, whatever, the state playoffs has changed three times, and we come from a county that was top heavy in the four. So I've had to go into the playoffs as a four seed
That's
and then
right.
win out and go up. So,
On the road, etc.
yep.
When you look at the controversy that surrounded this season in Maryland 4A, whether it was dealing with you all and what you overcame with Khalil, dealing with Flowers, etc. Did you feel as though all of that stuff that it put any sort of black eye on Prince George's County and the way that they dealt with things at all this season?
It put a black eye for me, how I felt personally. I'm sure some of the parents could tell you they felt that way. Um, I was ecstatic that we persevered and was able to get it done because you're always teaching kids life lessons, or you should be, right, on how it could happen in life. Days could be taken away from you just as fast as it can be given. You can earn some things, right, and don't get it. You know, how many people we know go to college, go to get their master's degree, and still don't get the job they supposed to get?
That's right.
You still got to grind through it. Well, we definitely gave them in Prince George's County what that was like, right? Everything snatched away from you, giving, taking, get back, right? I just think it was hard because it showed the flaws in the system. Flaws has always been there.
Right.
Right. But people pick and choose what they want to enforce or not enforce, or say it's serious is not as serious, right? So only those that I believe work in Prince George's County, live there, know, or coach there even know, right? But I always like to throw this out now that I'm gone. Even when I was there, I would say it. So people that know me know I would say it. How can you tell me you care about student athletes when you still have high schools that get out at 4:30?
Yeah.
4 o'clock.
Yeah.
How you talking about parity when high schools get out at different times? So some people can practice, some people cannot. Some people got lights, some people do not. Some people don't get home to do their homework until 8.
Right.
That's the shower. 8:30.
Right.
How you gonna hold that on the coach? That's a systematic problem. We fighting that. You can go over to Douglas. I think they feed their players after school.
Wow.
You know, so it's just different obstacles that some people have no idea that go on, and when those complain about it or bring those up, sometimes the powers that be don't want to hear it.
100%. 100%. All right, Coach, I get you out of here on this. And again, I had 30 more minutes of questions for you,
Good
but
stuff.
that just means you'll have to come back for me later on. All right, so new journey, next chapter here at Westlake. What can the fans, what can the community, what can the DMV high school community expect out of you all? Not necessarily this year, but 2, 3, 4, 5 years down the road.
First, you're going to expect everything I have in coaching this team. My staff and I is going to give you 110%. You know, I always say give everything you have and a little bit more. That's going to start with us. Secondly, the young men is working hard. They're going to always work hard. They're going to be ferocious. They're going to play. They're going to run. They're going to get to the football. They're going to be physical. They're going to be fast. And we're going to score. And we're going to be excited about it. We're going to be doing it for our community. We're going to be doing it for our school. And we're looking to just every day get better, step by step, day by day, second, minute, hour, until we get it done and we're on top.
How long will it take?
That depends on the young men. I've seen to be getting a good buy-in, right? But that's now when it's easy. Buying is easy when you ain't getting hit.
Right? When it's not 100 degrees and you're getting hit.
You know, it's hard to win, easy to lose.
That's what's up. That's what's up. Coach DP DaLawn Parrish, 6-time champion at Wise, the previous school. Now on to the next chapter, the next journey. Coach, thank you very much for taking a minute with me here, brother. I appreciate you.
Ricardo Report, bruh.